Happening now on Grid Tonight, the 2024 NTT INDYCAR Series season finale will move from the streets of downtown Nashville to the Nashville Superspeedway Oval. Is this a good move by INDYCAR? Trackhouse Racing signed Davide Brivio to become the team principal of his new MotoGP program. Can he build the American team into a true contender? David Malukas suffered a dislocated left wrist. Could Aaron McLaren's new driver be ready in time for the IndyCar season opener in St. Pete? Hello to all our viewers watching here in the United States and around the world. Welcome to Grid Tonight, your weekly motorsports news program. I'm Kobe Lambeth. With me is Joshua Birch and Matt White from Grid Endurance Performance Index. We encourage everyone to comment in the chat below, ask questions, and support us through Super Chat. Now here's Josh with our top story this evening.
Thank you, Kobe. Good evening, and good evening, everybody, as well. And before we get into tonight's top story, we want to acknowledge the tragedy of what's been happening right now in the news. The tragic shooting, of course, that's occurred during the Kansas City Chiefs Super Bowl parade today. Now, we know that sports on the field, court, or racetrack bring people together for a joyous occasion. A championship parade is the highlight of a year of hard work. Devastating today's news. And all of us here want to send our best. We are thinking of the victims and everyone impacted, and we hope for continued safety at sporting events globally. The 2024 NTT INDYCAR Series season finale in Nashville will not take place on the downtown city streets this year, but it'll shift to the 1.33-mile Nashville Superspeedway. INDYCAR previously raced on the Nashville Oval from 2001 through to 2008, with Scott Dixon being the last driver to visit Victory Lane here 3 years in a row in 2006, 2007, and 2008. In addition, the Indy NXT season finale will also shift to the Nashville Oval. For the first time since 2014, INDYCAR's championship deciding race will end on an oval, the last time being, of course, Fontana. Now, Penske Entertainment President and CEO Mark Miles said that Nashville Superspeedway is ideally suited to their highly competitive and extremely intense style of racing, adding that INDYCAR fans will eager anticipate crowning a champion on a high-speed oval. They're right. Photo courtesy there of Penske Entertainment. Kobe and Matt with me again, and do you prefer that the INDYCAR season is ending on the Nashville Superspeedway Oval, or would you like it to be back at the downtown street course?
Well, Josh, as much as I really enjoyed the Music City Grand Prix on the downtown city streets of Nashville, I'm actually very excited to see the event move to the Nashville Superspeedway Oval. It just feels right for the INDYCAR season finale to end on an oval track. I know it's been a long time since INDYCAR's raced at this track, but I'm sure it's gonna produce a lot more overtaken and exciting moments, compared to what we saw on the street course in Nashville. Because of all the drama and chaos that we saw, during the early days of that short-lived event, and last year's event, it was relatively tame for the most part. It surprised a lot of people because we expected lots of chaos, but it really wasn't as chaotic as it was in the past. But overall, I'm really looking forward to seeing INDYCAR end its 2024 season on the Nashville Superspeedway Oval. I think that this is a really, really good move by INDYCAR.
Yep, absolutely agree, Kobe, with this move. Good stuff. The Nashville downtown track obviously has got its one big piece across the river on the bridge going both sides. Great spectacle. We all, I think, were a little bit eyebrows raised when it got moved to the finale, especially as we're supposed to be changing the layout from the track that we've seen for the last few years. It was going to be a bit of a crazy race, but thankfully, it seems, or hopefully now, we've got away from that potential banana skin problem and moved out to the Superspeedway, where, of course, NASCAR will be there again during the summer. So we'll get, if you haven't ever seen the Nashville Superspeedway and you're following the NASCAR coverage this year, you'll get to see it in July. And then we'll get to see it again for the INDYCAR race at the end of the season. The final sort of run-in, really, post-Olympic break now, is going to be filled with ovals. We've got Iowa in there, we've got the double at Milwaukee, and now we go to Nashville for the finale as well. Brings a little bit of IRL back to what we know from the INDYCAR series in previous years. So, yeah, I'm excited for this. Did produce some pretty good racing, if any of the other tracks of that nature that we've seen in INDYCAR previously have anything to offer. Of course, Gateway in the mix there as well, with an oval race towards the end of the year. So plenty for oval fans to get excited about in IndyCar land towards the end of the year.
I told Megan about this as well, as it was one of their favourite races, the road course at Nashville as well on the street circuit, because there were so many cautions and so many red flags. It became a running joke about how many times she would complain about the race. Told her about it. She went, oh. I said, don't worry, it's on the oval. She went, ooh. So already thumbs up. Behind the mic said, excited to have another oval. Surely it will not go by the same name of Music City Grand Prix. Nashville Superspeedway is decidedly not in the Music City. Not really close. No, and it can't really be called the Grand Prix that on an oval. So they'll have to change that. Big prayers in Kansas City, and love the news about the IndyCar season finale on Nashville Superspeedway, says Adam as well. We continue to send our prayers to everybody who is affected in that horrific shooting as well. Dimas says, good morning from YouTube Channel Good Network from Indonesia. Good morning to you as well. And coming into it. But I must admit, I have a bit of flashbacks when it comes to Nashville Superspeedway. As me and Joe Sammiego will remember, a couple of years ago, we filled in on USRN for Matthew Owens, who was behind the mic, and yourself, Matt, calling the race there for NASCAR. 5.5 hour red flag for rain. Me and Joe literally had to sit and talk through everything. It was one of the weirdest nights ever. Came into the commentary box at 9 p.m, didn't leave until 5 a.m. So that's how long we were on air for. I think it was over, 9 hours. But the 2024 IndyCar season finale at Nashville Superspeedway will take place on September 15th on NBC. For now, more on that later. Now, Scott Brochetta as well, who's in charge of overseeing operations for the annual IndyCar race in Nashville, explained the decision-making progress that led to moving from the street course to the oval. This comes directly from the IndyCar press release. With construction set to begin for the new Titan Stadium, the Grand Prix operations team knew they'd be faced with new challenges, knowing that the course used for the first 3 years would have to change dramatically for 2024's race. Borchetta said, with several key locations around the stadium not available as in years past, and with the proposed course change to run through the streets of downtown Nashville, as well in the big loop that utilizes the Korean War Veterans Bridge as well, First Avenue, Broadway, 4th Avenue, Queens, Veterans Boulevard, we simply don't have the proper space needed by race teams, nor the proper access for downtown businesses and residents to execute the world-class event that is expected by our amazing fans. IndyCar teams and sponsors, with the significant changes of the proposed new layout and the unknowns with the new stadium construction, which has been the centre of operations for the first 3 years of the Grand Prix, the decision has been made to move the 2024 race to the Nashville Superspeedway. The thing is, though, if they thought about this, why didn't they tell us over a year and a half ago when all this came up? I mean, I've been saying for ages we should just be running on the Superspeedway, not in the downtown centre. So, Matt, starting with you on this, does it seem like IndyCar basically had no choice but to switch to Nashville Superspeedway, despite the plans to run on a revised layout on the street course?
Well, to your previous point, the season finale should always be at Laguna Seca or Sonoma, if you ask me. But to keep it in that market, I guess they had to do something. And it's as Matthew said, it's not in the city. It's an hour or so outside. It's not exactly too far away. So it's on their doorstep. Thankfully, they have made this announcement, obviously, now and not in June, even closer to the race or in the summer. So everyone can plan for it at the end of the year. It's not going to be too much of an upheaval for teams and things, and everyone that's obviously bought their tickets. I'm sure we're going to get reimbursed or swapped out for tickets to the Super Speedway race at the end of the year. Should make for an exciting season finale, potentially under lights as well, because that track does have lights. So we could see a dusk season finale for the IndyCar series. And as I said before, all those ovals at the back end of the year should make for an exciting finish.
Yeah, that's true, Matt. And for the longest times, IndyCar fans have been asking, the series, please add more ovals to the schedule. Please add more ovals to the schedule. Now you have another oval on the schedule. We also have another one coming as well. The Milwaukee Mile returning. So, a lot of really exciting things going on. But for IndyCar fans, I'm going to say this now. You guys have to show up to the race if you really want to have all these ovals on the schedule. These need to be some of the most attended oval races on well, not just oval races, just races in general on the IndyCar calendar. If you really want to show IndyCar that you want these ovals, you really have to, put butts in seats, to be blunt about it, because otherwise, you're not going to be able to keep all of these ovals on the schedule. And I'm sure a lot of people all around are super excited. I know I saw a lot of comments on social media. People were really thrilled to see Nashville Superspeedway come back to the NTT in the IndyCar Series schedule. But yeah, it really seemed like they had no choice. But like you said, Matt, you just try to keep it in the market. And this was really the best thing that they could possibly do. And hopefully Nashville is going to be a very exciting season finale. And to your point, Matt, I think it was also a really good decision by IndyCar. And announce this a month before the season starts, but don't announce it in the middle of the season. That would not be good at all. Let's say June, July, be like, oh, we're going to be moving the season finale in the middle of September to the Nashville Superspeedway after people had already expected it to, be in the downtown city street. And a comment here from Adam Limmer saying Nashville Superspeedway is located in Lebanon, Tennessee, and you say you think they should call the race the Verizon Grand Championship. Interesting name there, Adam.
I like that name, actually. That makes a lot more sense as well than the Grand Prix. Welcome to the Track NASCAR Nashville Superspeedway for season finale IndyCar 24 season. Yep, so this is going to be possibly bringing up some issues as well, because NASCAR were on the track. We saw at Texas the issues that were brought up for the IndyCars. So that could be something to keep an eye on as well to when we get to the season finale. Behind the Mic says, hello, Matthew. I didn't even think about it possibly being a night race. Maybe NBC should move it to a Saturday night to avoid a clash with the NASCAR players for Watkins Glen. Yes, please. Otherwise, I'm going to be exhausted. I can't. I'm sitting here thinking how many ovals we're going to have as well this year. I might be too exhausted, but I'm looking forward to that. Yes, let's have a Saturday night IndyCar race on NBC before going to the playoff race on the Sunday at Watkins Glen. Oh yeah, on NBC. It makes sense. Let's have a Saturday night bonanza. Let's call it that. Saturday night bonanza. Okay. Oh, one of my monitors just went off. And we're all okay. Good. Just double checking because my laptop's been about as useful as a chocolate teapot recently. Our second story tonight, Trackhouse Racing MotoGP made a huge move by hiring Davide Brivio as team principal. Now, Brivio is one of the most respected leaders in motorsports, who now has the task of leading a rookie American team into the world of MotoGP. He's responsible for a total of 5 MotoGP Riders' World Championships and 4 Constructors' titles with Yamaha and Suzuki. In 2020, he was responsible for Suzuki's first Teams Championship in history and the first Riders' Championship since Kenny Roberts Jr. in 2000. Now, Brivio will try to find similar success with Aprilia. He returns to MotoGP after spending time in Formula One with Alpine. The photo is courtesy there of Trackhouse MotoGP. Matt's with me for this one as well. I was awake when it got announced, as I was for testing. Shocked the entire MotoGP paddock when he walked back in. So, question to you is, how significant is it for Trackhouse to add someone like Davide Brivio to lead its new MotoGP program? And does this show they mean business and are more serious about MotoGP?
Always good when we can get a mention of KRJR on the show. I don't think that's ever happened before, but it's good. That really does take me back to just getting into MotoGP in the late 90s when he was on that number 10 Suzuki winning the championship. Brivio coming back. Justin Marks continues to do Justin Marks things. He's becoming one of my favourite people in motorsport. I want him. I'm going to go and get him. Yes, and it's happened. And I mean, Brivio left when Suzuki crumbled away a couple of years ago. Went to Alpine in whatever role he was there in the F1 team. Hasn't really had his head above the parapet, really. We barely heard or seen from him since. But he's back where he belongs, really, in the MotoGP paddock. And Trackhouse continued to do, as I say, Justin Marks doing Justin Marks things. Trackhouse doing it again, pulling this iron out of the fire. Just when you thought they would come in and just have a season to get to know things. And I know they've got plenty of guys there that have been and done it before within the team. But now they've got the linchpin at the top there to keep it all sewn together. And as you said, Josh, a proven winner already with 2 manufacturers, Yamaha and Suzuki, winning titles. So he's got a lot of people will want to come and work now at Trackhouse if Davide Brivio is there to be at the top, because we saw how well all that knitted together at Suzuki a couple of years ago to get Guamir to the championship in the COVID year that was 2020. This is a really, really good move and will only strengthen that team going forward. and we could have a good battle. But we've had the Ducati Cup, as I called it last year, where all the Ducati teams are fighting amongst themselves. The Aprilia Cup could be a thing next year with the Works team and Trackhouse getting in amongst it at the front end of the field. Looking forward to it.
Absolutely, they were very fast in testing as well. And Adam says, I remember Kenny Roberts Jr., solid MotoGP rider, absolutely. And I tell you one thing as well, Simon Patterson and Maddie Patterson were over there for the Trackhouse launch, and the first thing they saw when they walked in, a picture of the Kentucky kid, Nicky Hayden. So they definitely know what they're doing over there at Trackhouse as well. Alex says as well, Saturday Night Showdown from Nashville Superspeedway. It sounds right. That does sound good. Go on.
Can I just make mention here of when INDYCAR tried to rename the last race of the year once before at Las Vegas? Let's not do that again, please. For some grandioso world champion, it went very badly wrong.
I must admit, when I heard that it was on an oval, the first thing I thought of was that Las Vegas race. And it does make me a bit, like we're going for a championship, are we? On the last day of the season in an oval. It doesn't, I don't know. It's sort of more pressure, which I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but we'll see when we get to how the championship goes. But I'll tell you what, congratulations, Joseph Newgarden, on this year's World Championship for INDYCAR as well, with the amount of ovals we've got. I mean, how many did he have last year? 4 out of 5, wasn't it? Because he missed out. It was ridiculous. But moving back to the story as well, with Trackhouse MotoGP partnering with Aprilia, they'll have Miguel Oliveira and Raul Fernandez representing the team that wants to be known as Disruptors, who changed the status quo. So they've already done it. But not so much for Raul Fernandez. He crashed out in testing and was forced to miss the rest of day one in a really bizarre accident because Pecco Bagnaia went down on a damp part of the track, dropped some oil, and then Raul Fernandez was next through, had a high side over the barriers, fell, and decided to go and have an operation, which means he was out of the MotoGP Sepang test. He should be back on the bike for the 2-day test at Losail next week on the Monday and Tuesday. So we'll keep you updated with all that as well. Now, team owner Justin Marks, as Matt said earlier on, said it's incredible to have someone of Brivio's caliber and experience leading Trackhouse's MotoGP program, believing that he's a good fit for the culture at Trackhouse. Brivio said this deal came together very quickly in recent days, but he's looking forward to the challenge of seeing what he can do with Trackhouse in MotoGP. Said the same thing about Aprilia in Formula One, but he's done a Susie Perry. Go away for a couple of years from MotoGP, do 2 seasons in Formula One, come back home to MotoGP. So, Matt, after watching him succeed at Yamaha and at Suzuki, can Brivio do the same with Aprilia and make Trackhouse contenders in the next few years?
Yes, perhaps, as I said before. But the thing is, they're not the factory team. At Suzuki and at Yamaha, they were the top team. This is a customer effort. Let's not forget that. But as I said, they can be in there. That bike at times last season showed very, very strongly. Aisha Spargo got a couple of wins. Vinales was a few times. And it looks fairly okay so far from what we've seen in testing for the new bike. So there's no reason that those 4 guys, and much to what we talked about from the Lolas of last year in MotoGP, if they can keep their riders fit, can be in with a chance of getting in there amongst the Ducatis. But Yamaha looked good at the test at Sepang as well. So hopefully we'll have a fairly competitive order in MotoGP when we get to Losail, which is going to be super busy over the next few weeks. MotoGP testing, then a WEC race, then the MotoGP race the week after. If you live in Qatar and you're near the Losail circuit, make sure you get your butt trackside, because there's going to be plenty of stuff going on at Losail over the next 6 weeks.
There is actually a massive problem because all the MotoGP, usually it's the Losail test, a week later it's the MotoGP, but they've slotted in WEC in between, which means all the MotoGP bikes, there's nowhere for them to go. So they're having to be flown and put in a storage unit, all of them, for the WEC, for the WEC cars to come in.
Come back again.
Yeah, and then come back in again. So the teams have to rig up, de-rig, and then rig back up again. It's the most bizarre organisation I've ever seen, but that's what you get when cash is king as well. Now, on to our third story for the evening. And again, continuing on with the theme of injury, our McLaren announced that newly signed driver David Malukas suffered a dislocated left wrist while mountain biking last weekend. Malukas had surgery on his wrist yesterday afternoon. Now, according to a team spokesperson, his status for the season-opening Firestone Grand Prix on the streets of St. Petersburg is unknown, with his recovery period is determined after the surgery. The 2024 Entity IndyCar Series season begins on March 10th, just under a month from now. Malukas spent the first 2 years of his IndyCar career with Dale Coyne Racing and impressed a lot of people in the paddock before landing a seat with one of the top teams. In a statement, Malukas said he feels gutted and horrible for the team because they worked so hard to prepare for their first season together. The photo taken there by Chris Owens from Penske Entertainment. Had to stifle a laugh at the beginning of that because it was the group chat came back in as well from earlier on when we were all talking about Montoya dislocating his shoulder playing tennis and claiming he fell off a motorcycle. It was making me giggle. How can the same thing happen to the same team twice? But Kobe, starting with you, how frustrating must this setback be for Malukas right before starting the biggest opportunity of his career?
Oh, this is a major setback for David Malukas because, like you're saying, this is the biggest opportunity of his racing career. You know, last couple of years been very impressive with Dale Coyne Racing, and he's been very good, especially at Gateway. I think that would probably be my pick for him to get his first IndyCar win later this year at Gateway, because he's been really good on that track. I don't know what it is with Malukas and Gateway, but that's certainly one of his strongest tracks in the IndyCar schedule. And to go to a contending team like Aaron McLaren, we're really going to get to see what David Malukas is made of. But unfortunately, it really seems like, you know, that it might be delayed a race or two before we really get to see him. But, you know, I'm not going to say David Malukas is going to be would have been a championship contender this year. But, you know, you miss 1 points race, and, you know, that basically, you know, means the end of any hopes for the championship. But like you said, like Malukas said in his statement, Josh, you know, him and the team have been working very hard over the offseason to show what they can do together. And now for this injury to happen so close to the season and potentially not being able to, you know, kick off the season when everybody else does, it certainly has to feel very, very frustrating for David Malukas. But I'm sure he's going to follow doctor's orders, especially, you know, with the great medical team the IndyCar has. He's going to get great advice, best medical care, and he's going to be able to return to the wheels sooner rather than later. And then, you know, he'll just hit the ground running whenever he's ready to go and 100%.
Yeah, absolutely agree, Kobe. It's a real shame that he's going to be missing, well, potentially, if not missing, certainly if he does make it to St. Petersburg in a few weeks' time, he's not going to be fully fit. And that is a very bumpy, very nadgery track. You do not want to be going around there, excuse me, with a hand injury. Then we've got Thermal coming up not so long after, and there's a bit of a break before another bumpy street track, Long Beach. So it's going to be a painful beginning to his McLaren career for little Dave in the IndyCar paddock. And as we talked about a few weeks ago on the show, you know, real opportunity for him to kick on with his career here, and unfortunately started with injury. So he's going to be on the back foot. I agree with you, Kobe. I don't think he was going to be a championship contender, but certainly would have been in the mix for race wins throughout the season. And as you mentioned, he's been absolutely tremendous at Gateway over the last couple of years in the Dale Coyne car. So real shame for him. Let's hope for a speedy and quick recovery. And when he does come back, he's not so far off the pace.
Absolutely, and after Malukas had surgery to repair ligaments in his dislocated left wrist, the recovery time is expected to be 6 weeks following the removal of stitches on February the 22nd. That means, as we said, it's unlikely we'll see Malukas competing at the season opener at St. Pete, or, crucially as well, the All-Star race at the Thermal Club. That £1 million drop. So, yeah, not great for him to miss out on that as well. Now, looking at potential candidates to replace him in the number 6 Chevrolet if he's not cleared in time. Zach Veach is currently the reserve driver for Arrow McLaren. Then you have recently retired Tony Kanaan, who's currently the team's sporting director. Now, there's also Callum Ilott, a driver many in the IndyCar paddock think highly of, but he was left without a seat for this season. Looking at the recovery timeline for others who suffered similar injuries, Ilott broke his hand in the 2022 Indianapolis 500 and missed the race at Detroit the following week, but he was able to make a return to action 2 weeks later at Road America. In the same year, Jimmy Johnson broke his hand during a Friday practice session at Long Beach and raced 2 days later with a splint. Then Johnson had surgery and tested at Indianapolis less than 2 weeks after the surgery. Over in Formula One, Danny Ricciardo broke his hand during the Dutch Grand Prix, and that was in late August. Ricciardo, of course, didn't return to action until October 22nd, nearly missing 2 months of competition. Now, Matt, starting with you, which driver would be your top pick to put in that number 6 Chevrolet?
You mentioned Daniel Ricciardo. It immediately links me to get Liam Lawson in the car. No, that's not going to happen, is it? I mean, there's plenty of people out there. Maybe they could bring Ollie Askew back. I know Jackson Ambrose would be in favour of that one. Kanaan is obviously a possibility, but he's not been in the car since Indianapolis, and much like before, that was supposed to be his farewell race. So it'll be interesting to see if he comes back. Maybe they can get someone up from Indy Next or someone like that. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see what happens. But Veach is a good shout. I hadn't thought of that until you just mentioned it, to be honest, Josh. So I think it's going to be one of those group of periphery things. I don't think Ilott would go back, because that would disrupt, not in terms of a clash, but that would disrupt his beginning to his WEC campaign with the Hertz Team Jota Porsche team. So not sure that is likely, but stranger things have happened.
Yeah, that's true. Stranger things have happened, but actually, if he's available, I would actually go with Callum Ilott as my top option. I still think he's a driver who deserves to be full-time on the IndyCar grid. It was and we did cover his story, in the split with Juncos Hollinger Racing at the end of 2023 here in Grid Tonight, this happened also late in the offseason, and basically, when the music stopped running for all the chairs, Callum Ilott was the last one left standing, well, one of the last ones left standing, and he didn't have a ride for this year. But if Callum Ilott, is able to get this opportunity, come in, drive this car, if Malukas doesn't make some miraculous recovery in time to go racing, I think it would only help Callum Ilott's profiles for 2025. With him being on the market now, it would not surprise me if many IndyCar teams are already, waiting to secure his services for next season, even before the current season has even started. He's also a driver, who I also think very highly of, and think with the right opportunity, he could be a very successful IndyCar driver as time goes on. In regards to Tony Kanaan, yeah, Tony decided to retire from IndyCar racing, and it's also been a minute since he's driven an IndyCar on a road and street course type track. So I'm sure that would be an adjustment. I actually don't look for Tony to come out of retirement, but like you said, Matt, never say never. Have no idea what's going on, but if you already have someone like Zach Veach as your reserve driver, just plug and play, right? Just you could put Zach Veach in the car until David Malukas is able to come out. Zach Veach has IndyCar experience. He's been working very close with the team, so I think that would be a really easy option as well. And it very well could be the replacement for Malukas. If he can't go, it could very well be a driver that we haven't even talked about yet. So who knows?
Me? Can I have a go? Can't do worse. All right, never mind. I've got it ready. I was always ready because I get the call from Zach. I mean, he's hiring every other driver under the planet. It's only about time until I get there. Okay, so from one McLaren employee to another, because I'm sure Matt White will get the call up eventually because everybody does. Here's Matt with the latest from Grid EPI update.
Thank you, Josh. And we've had a busy weekend of Grid Endurance Performance Index races, and they both took place at the weekend at the Yas Marina Circuit in Abu Dhabi. It was the final 2 races of the Asian Le Mans Series for 2024. So that season has wrapped up. We've already got champions for 2024. I'll tell you about those in a second. First of all, let's tell you what happened in the races. In the Saturday race, a win for the CrowdStrike team. George Kurtz, Colin Braun, and Malfi Jakobsen, who won one of the races at Sepang before the Christmas break, getting the victory on Saturday. In LMP3, Mikkel Jensen, Nick Adcock, and Fabian Laverne were the winners. And in the GT race, Triple Eight getting their trophy with Lucas Stoltz, Jordan Love, and Prince Jeffrey Ibrahim. That trio would go on to win again on Sunday in the final round of the season. LMP3 was won by Julian Gerby, Ian Stefan, and Dan Skopel Pope. tricky pronunciation of the Polish name. And the overall race was won by Chris McMurray, Freddie Tomlinson, and Toby Sowery. So that is the conclusion of the races. The champions for the Asian Le Mans Series of 2024 are as follows. Those 2 wins for the Triple Eight trio weren't enough to snatch the championship away from Alex Malik in Joel Strum and Klaus Bachler in GT. So they are the champions there. In LMP3, Alexander Bukansov and James Winslow, that pair wrapped up the championship. That was by 3 points. The GT championship actually was a 2-point difference in the end. And the LMP2 winners on Saturday did enough on Sunday to claim the championship. Congratulations to Colin Braun, George Kurtz, and Malfi Jakobsen, the whole of the CrowdStrike Algarve Pro racing team. They are your Asian Le Mans Series overall champions, and then, of course, in LMP2. Big one this weekend. It's the first round of the Intercontinental GT Challenge, the Repco Bathurst 12-hour. Set your watches for 5:45 Australian time. I think it is the start of the race. The first hour is in darkness of a 12-hour race. It's a very strange schedule, but it's one of the best hours of racing you'll see all year at one of the best tracks. What a weekend we've got. Bathurst and Daytona on the same weekend. Can't get much better than that. We'll give you the update on those winners from the Bathurst 12-hour on the show next week. And a quick preview. We're not going to do rankings till we get to April, but I can tell you in an exclusive to Grid tonight that Davide Rigon, who was part of the GTD Pro lineup for Risi that won at Daytona, he is the Grid Endurance Performance Index leader at this juncture. Bathurst 12 hours this weekend. Update on those results on the show next week. Now it's time to hand over to Kobe for some more of this week's headlines.
Thanks for the Grid EPI sneak peek, Matt. Next time for some more motorsports news from around the world. This story was discussed on Monday night's first Grid Live Encore show of the year, but American Formula 2 driver Jack Crawford signed with the Aston Martin Formula 1 team as a development driver. Crawford was previously a part of the Red Bull Junior Driver Program and decided to leave Red Bull after the 2023 season. With Aston Martin, he'll get to participate in a fitness program, media training, simulator work while joining the team at race events to observe and learn. Crawford said he's looking forward to working with the team, especially on the simulator, where he can help contribute to the team's performance on race weekends and the opportunity to drive the AMR 22 F1 car. After finishing 13th last year in the F2 standings with High Tech, Crawford will return to F2 with Dams this season. Photo courtesy of Aston Martin. Nice Motorsports named 4 drivers that'll drive the number 45 Chevrolet Silverado in a bid for the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series Owners Championship, starting with this Friday night season opener at Daytona. 2016 Truck Series champion Johnny Sauter will get behind the wheel. Then Cup Series star Ross Chastain will return to Nice for 5 races at Coda, Darlington, North Wilkesboro, Pocono, and Indianapolis Raceway Park. Caden Honeycutt and Connor Mosat will run the rest of the races. Phil Gould will serve as the crew chief on the number 45 truck. Graphic courtesy of Nice Motorsports. Now I'm going to turn over to Matt for everyone's favorite game, Pick a Winner.
Yeah, we had a week off of Pick a Winner last week, but it is back this weekend. We'll do the Daytona 500 picks, I'm sure, over the weekend on the pre-race show. Adam says, bring on Bathurst. Next weekend, the Repcar Supercars opener, which we'll be doing Pick a Winners for in this slot next week, especially for the Saturday race of the 50 Bathurst 500. But for now, we've got Rally Sweden to pick for this weekend. And it's the second round of the championship. Starts tomorrow night in the darkness and then runs through the weekend as per usual. The rotation at Toyota is on, with Sebastian Ogier finishing second at Monte Carlo last month. He is out, and the champion, they get rid of one of the legends of rallying. They bring back last year's champion. Kalle Rovanperä is in the third Toyota this weekend. Can he come straight out of the blocks with a win? We'll have to wait and see. I'm going to curve away from Rovanperä slightly and give you a slight curveball pick for my pick the winner for this weekend. And it's going to be Hyundai man, Ott Tänak.
That's an interesting pick, Matt. But I'm going to go with another part-timer this year, Kalle Rovanperä. I feel like that's a safe pick, and we'll see if he's able to score some wins this year in his part-time schedule.
I'm very much familiarising myself with more motorsports this year, including the World Rally Championship. So I'm going to go with a safety bet of Pera as well, as we get his first race of the season. But again, it's a good little car, that, wasn't it, for what we saw back in Monte Carlo. Adam also saying as well the same. So it's going to be fun, this one.
Just sent the videos for Joe to put up on the socials. Get your picks in for Rally Sweden and for Daytona at the weekend and use the hashtag pick a winner. You can be on the leaderboard next week. And if you haven't contested so far or even scored a point, The maximum point gain possible still in Pick a Winner this year is 183. There's plenty of points on the table between now and the middle of December. There's at least one Pick a Winner race every weekend now until the weekend before Christmas, basically. So you've got plenty of chance to get yourself on the leaderboard. More Pick a Winners to come next week, of course, when NASCAR heads to Atlanta. And as Adam and I already mentioned, the Repco Supercars Championship gets underway at Bathurst. Time to focus on some hots and some nots then from the weekend that was, in quite a quiet-ish weekend in terms of track action, really, apart from those two Asian Le Mans Series races that I mentioned before. I'm not sure I've got a hot from the weekend that was, but I've got a hot from the weekend to come. And I mentioned it earlier. It's Daytona and Bathurst, and the SVG Express rolls into Daytona on Saturday, and I'm very much looking forward to it.
Definitely, I'm looking forward to Daytona as well. First time I'm going to be sort of lead commentating on not really a full season, because we're sharing it with you and USON as well. So sort of first time stepping in solo, I think you could say, permanently as well, not just a reserve commentator. And I got my media login yesterday for NASCAR, and I was immediately blown away. This is definitely a hot, by the way. NASCAR media is better than any other series I commentate on. The amount of access they give you, the amount of information, the amount that they help you out, fantastic. Honestly, it's gone right up there as number one, because with every other series, you have to fight to find out information as well. NASCAR, literally, I went in and they gave me a 99-page document with every stat you can think of under the sun for every single driver, and then a further 21-page document giving you every other bit of information about Daytona. It's fantastic. The only thing I had to create myself was a track guide, but that's just an oval, so I've just got some stats about the stage lengths that I've put on. But honestly, up on the commentary box wall right now, I've got information on the duels, the results from the clash, their box score, so what everybody's finishing position was and everything. Last time they've led at the track, last time led. In front of me, I've got Daytona stats, driver stats of what they've done at this circuit as well. And I'm just blown away. And the timing screens are like nothing I've ever seen before. I've got 7 different monitors I can choose to have on at any different time. And I'm blown away. I must admit, I've really loved watching NASCAR. I was really scared, as I said to you, like, commentating on the clash at the Coliseum. And it didn't go very well. I left it thinking, this might not be the best decision I've ever made. But I feel so confident now, ready for the season. So my big hot is to NASCAR media. Big thumbs up. Well done, everybody. I've got a lukewarm.
Oh, okay. Go on.
Yeah.
We like a lukewarm.
Yeah. The F1 launches. And there's a reason for this. Not because of the carbon livery. That's a separate debate. The reason they're lukewarm for me, it's the length. I can't get over if I like the fact that we're getting like 1 minute, 2 minute, even today's McLaren was 39 seconds. Can't get over the fact I like a quick launch, or I like hearing from the teams and the drivers. I've yet to find a happy medium, because it's been really bugging me, because we've had Williams, Alpine, and I believe, off the top of my head, thinking about it, there's another one, Mercedes. They've done 3 launches, and they've had the big ones. Oh, and Stake, that's 4. Sauber, yeah. They've had the big launches where I was sat through going, no, you're wrong. Why are you saying that? And it really frustrated me. And then we've had Ferrari, McLaren, Haas, just go like, wham, here's your car, 1 minute. There you go, bang, right there, done. Have a look at it. And then we had Mercedes, which was really weird, because it sort of started and, oh, there's the car. It's like this, as Matt Gallagher would say, where was the foreplay? Where's, you all being lifted up, waiting, tantalizing, seeing the car? No, bang, there it is, right there next to Radzi. I was like, oh, okay. So I'm sort of lukewarm on it, because I'd like a bit of showmanship, but I like how quick I'm getting out the commentary box. And I'm also, this is a knot. Are you ready? Why are they putting the launches at insanely early times in the UK? It was, it was 8:38 this morning a.m. for McLaren. I think Red Bull had late for the day, but it was Williams were like 9 a.m. in the morning, and the Alpha, whatever it is, Alpha Tauri, the Visa Cash App RB, it was still like 6 o'clock in the morning. I was like, what are you doing? And that was like a minute video as well. It was like, it was driving me at the wall. And I think that's my sort of hots and nots. It's like, how on earth is this working? Because last year we sat through all the boring launches. Everyone complained. Ferrari did it really, really well. This year, everyone's gone, all right, we'll just release the car. And then Ferrari give us the worst launch ever. And, well, McLaren actually was the worst because they didn't even show the car. But I'd love to get your take on it, Matt, as well, because it's been driving me mad.
Well, I haven't really seen much of the launches, especially in terms of like what you've sat through all of them and talked about them on your channel and whatnot. And we've got Red Bull tomorrow, the final one. Who will be there and who will be talking about it remains to be seen. More on that story in the next couple of weeks. I'm sure everyone watching knows what I'm trying to hint at. But yeah, it's my not. My not is, well, now you mentioned it, the launches. We used to have the Spice Girls singing in front of McLarens at Earl's Court and Jordans and things. They were quite good. Obviously great, like big things. I think Jamiroquai did one from memory as well. I can't remember what team it was. I'm sure he did at some point in the late 90s, early noughties. But then we'd also have, here's our car in the pit lane at Jerez, and we've whipped the cover off, and here it is. And they'd all take pictures, and then they'd send it out. And that was the beginning of the first test. Didn't mind those ones either, but just here's the car, flashy video, no comments, naff. And most, if not all of the paint schemes for next year are absolutely shocking. Terrible, terrible paint schemes. The Ferrari looks cool, and I thought the Mercedes looked pretty good.
Mercedes shocks me.
They've been kind of expected that a little bit, but I think the little split silver black livery for this year does look very good. That's my
thinking about another knot going into it. I would say one final knot, I think, is come from what we've learned this evening, and it's only. I'm only going to talk about this because it was been made official by Roger Penske. And that is the fact that Fox have put rumored to be looking and taking over some IndyCar coverage after this 2025 deal ends with NBC. And I think I'm not sure how I feel about that, because I think what we've got right now with NBC is, yes, we're having races on USA, Peacock, and then on NBC, and there's no consistency. One thing you do have is a consistent broadcast team who I think are getting better and better as we go along. And they dropped Paul Tracy, they brought in James Hinchcliffe, and admittedly Townsend Bell, I think, could do with a little bit of holding back a little bit and letting Lee do a bit more play-by-play. So I think they're slowly getting better. And I think their coverage of the Indy 500 is top tier. It's like, I can't imagine Fox going live for every single practice session, uninterrupted, constantly non-stop. And I think, as I have to take one of my earpieces out because it's burning me, I think what we've got now is the better situation. And I'd love to get your take on it quick.
Yeah, I really do enjoy the. Apart from, obviously, it's different for us on our side of the pond because we know where we're going to see our race. It's on Sky Sports F1 every race. A little bit different for you US guys with Peacocks and USAs and all that kind of thing. But the actual broadcast package, the three guys in the booth, the guys on pit lane, and that rolls through to the Indy Next races, which of course we got last year as well. They were also very, very good. The production quality is there. I hope that NBC can keep that. They've been cutting everything else a lot of things to try and get more football/soccer on the channel over the last couple of years. Matthew Owens is the man to talk about all this kind of thing. He's well in the knowledge of this stuff. But I would hope that it stays with NBC. Ben says the Fox rumors can't be hot or not for me until we see the final product. That said, I'll never say no to more competition. That's true. And as we saw from the last NASCAR deal that was announced last month, streaming will be a thing and is going to be a thing going forward, and I'm sure that is going to be involved in the IndyCar deal, whatever that comes to next after this one runs out at the end of this coming season.
Oh, we're getting hot now. Bring back Homestead. Yes,
I absolutely agree that IndyCar should go back to Homestead, even if they run the road course. Just go back there.
We need it. We need more diversity in the IndyCar calendar, because I think, what was it, one year we had 3 races at the road course in Indy, and I was like, no thank you.
That was 2020, which obviously couldn't have been helped for some degree. I know series IMSA love this phrase, date equity. They love to know where the track is. The calendar's always really relatively the same, and the dates are always the same, but a little bit of mixing it up here and there wouldn't go amiss.
Bit like how Formula 1 have done it this year, because I really had to get reminded that the Japanese Grand Prix is in April.
Yeah,
which is let's go to let's move it from one monsoon season to the other monsoon season. It's like same as Brazil.
For me as a child, it was always at the beginning of the year, and then it switched to the end. It's always, for the last however long it's been, towards the end of the year, and been the season finale, of course.
2004 it changed. Yeah,
it must have been. Yes, because the year before was the Fisichella win and the big accident with Mark Webber and Fernando Alonso on the top of the hill when the rain came down. So Brazil being at the end of the season is still odd for me all these years later.
I know, we need to change that. If you haven't seen the 2003 Brazilian Grand Prix, go look it up. It's one of the greatest races ever. And it's a bit of a spoiler. They only brought intermediate tyres because they thought it wouldn't rain in Brazil. And
the car that won the race ended up in pit lane on fire.
Yeah. And the guy who actually won it didn't win it, and then did win it. And the guy who finished in third wasn't on the podium. Basically, the podium was completely wrong. Yeah, it was actually, wasn't it? It's the only podium in F1 history that's completely wrong.
Story of Kimi Räikkönen's McLaren tenure. Should have won lots more races and got them taken away for various reasons. Nürburgring 2005.
He never did finish in Germany, did he? Not once in a McLaren did he finish in Germany. He always lost it with an engine failure. Tyres. Yeah. Jenson Button should have won in Monaco 2004. Just saying, ahead of Jarno Trulli won it as well. That was another great one. We need round table discussions of classic Grand Prix. That would be brilliant. Anyway, we're rambling, and I know Kobe's back. So he's backstage, just you're going to be happy saying, wrap it up. So taking a look at our upcoming schedule. Yeah, he's taking his watch. Like, come on, we've got some racing to go over tonight. It's qualifying.
Get ready for qualifying.
Yeah, I'm ready in the box. I'm ready to go. There's nothing better than super speedway racing, and I completely agree with you as well. Bring back Homestead. I'll go so far as say bring back Twin Wing Motegi. I thought that was a great little race.
Oh, no, they can't. It's broken. They can't fix it.
Oh, is it? Is it still broken?
Yeah, the oval's broken from the earthquake and it can't be mended.
Oh.
It's now a car park for all the events that happen at Motegi when they use the road course, which INDYCAR did the last time they went there. And from MotoGP, you always see the cars all parked up on the banking for the spectators.
I can never guess where that is actually, because it's like the oval is on the it sort of loops itself around. It's really bizarre. Anyway, went to Texas last year. They said it's one of the best INDYCAR races in a while. That was, really? And finally I thought we got good at Texas, and then they've taken it off the schedule. So it's really annoying. I remember when Japan and Australia ended the F1 season. Yeah. 95 at Adelaide was the last one. What about Laguna Seca? Laguna Seca's moved. Yeah.
Said that before, Ray. Yeah, Laguna Seca moving earlier in the year, and INDYCAR should always finish at Laguna or Sonoma, if you ask me. And I did talk about that when we were talking about it earlier on in the show.
I think a championship showdown in Sonoma was just fantastic as well, because you could very clearly tell that everybody had been out drinking wine the night before. It was quite funny. I mean, that's where in NASCAR we had Darrell have his last commentary, and you could all tell that they were gone out drinking the night before. By the way, they were swaying in pit lane. It was hilarious. It's nothing to do with the heat, but still. Yeah, so taking a look at our upcoming schedule as well. Thursday, that's tomorrow, a very special Grid Live pre-race show for the Blue Green Vacations Duel at Daytona. That is at 6 p.m. Eastern. Sunday, Grid Live pre-race for the 66th running of the Daytona 500. That's at noon Eastern. Sunday night, Grid Live wrap-up. That's 90 minutes after the Daytona 500. If we're being in a rain delay, I might be in an induced coma by then, just so I can relax after God knows how many hours on air. And Monday, Grid Live Encore, recapping ARCA, Trucks, and Xfinity at Daytona. The first show for that was back on Monday as well. And it's nice to see Ben and Brandon back at the helm, although Joe was on the show on Monday. Please do subscribe to our YouTube channel now, and so you don't miss any of our biggest shows of the year. So much now restarting with motorsport. So thank you very much for helping us reach the milestone of 880 subscribers. Now help us reach our new goal of 900 subscribers on the road to 1,000. You can hit the bell icon to get notifications for when we go on air, and follow all of our social media platforms and visit gridranking.com. You can take 5 minutes to invest in the Grid Network through Patreon. Join Colin, Mark, Michelle, Robin, David and Matthew, who invest each month in the Grid Network. We encourage you to join these fine folks who keep us on the air. And once we hit $500 per month, we can start sending out our team to various racetracks so we can continue and expand our coverage. The link to that is in the video description. And if you want to do a one-time donation, you can click on the Buy Me a Coffee link, get your name on the board and invest as much as you want, and consider buying a specific on-air personality cup of coffee, and I will thank you on the air. You can also support us by donating during our live streams through Super Chat. For Kobe Lambeth, wait, there it is. Hello, Kobe. For Kobe Lambeth and Matt White from Grid Performance Index as well, I'm Joshua Birch. Thank you very much for watching. We'll see you next time. Good night to you all.